Right, I was fortunate to be invited to the Trooping of Colour when the Queen trooped alongside the Coldstream Guards. Now this is where she was still horsebound and not riding side saddle, and very much the majestic presence we've all come to know and love, because the Queen is one of our best ambassadors for the country, and also our leading industry. I mean, the amount of money that she brings in, she can have as many palaces as she wishes, because she's absolutely, in my book, Her Majesty, and of the highest order. And the alternative is not too great, so a lot of people don't recognise that, which is why it's very, very important. And we were there, sat not too far away from Runcie, and the Queen came along and looking very much an awe of splendour. And I was actually a guest of Captain Keith Hatton at that day, but I think it was recognised not long after that I wasn't cut out to bake for the colonels and everything else, so it was parting of the waves. However, the introduction, the insight into the royal regimental order was absolutely magnificent. Now, swiftly moving on, I was also there as a punter on the street when the Queen got shot. Thankfully turned out to be blanks, but it was amazing, and the way that people rallied, and the people that weren't necessarily patriotic, and the fact that this was our Queen really drove things home. So that was again, leading up to a jubilee and sort of celebratory years. However, digressing, I happened to be in Sandringham one sunny, put my teeth back in, sunny morning, sunny Sunday morning even. Now let me rephrase that. It was on a Sunday, sunny morning, that's right, which happened to be Christmas Day, and Prince Harry and his sort of family and cousins were all legging it up to church and being the boisterous, jovial selves. And when they came out, Prince Harry wandered around the crowd. I had a lively sort of border collie at that time, and he came over, had a chat to the pooch. While she was bending down, I sneaked a cheeky kiss on his cheek, and inadvertently, when he got up, he returned the compliment. So me and Prince Harry were as one, you might say, on that particular day. But no, it was a joy to behold, and that was some 7 or 8 years back. And his grandmother arrived by car. The tender years were taking a toll. I think Sophie wasn't the best of health at that time, so they built up together. But that was memories. But it's interesting, in terms of the economic climate and how how the patriotic effect is huge right across the board, and especially in the Dunkirk spirit, and people digging the rails in, and it's quite tremendous, and it's something the Brits do very, very well, is the pomp and circumstance. In fact, we do that extraordinarily well. Often we're losing the substance, but we can gift wrap anything, and we can do a fantastic job, and we do, and we should be equally proud of it. Another situation, I went to, this is Marsden United Reformed Church, not too long back actually, and when you first arrive at Marsden United Reformed, I think you spend the first 10 years outside, till you get accepted in, and then you sit on the back pew. But I migrated beyond that, so I must have been accepted, or wore the right perfume, or who knows. So we moved inside, and more than that, I got myself acquainted with this particular lady And she said, oh, it's quite safe to sit on my seat, you know. My husband died 12 years ago. So I thought, okay, you know. So that was fine and everything else. And then she said, oh, I've moved too. She said, you've just moved. I've seen you about, but have you just moved? And I said, oh yeah, I've moved too. And she said, oh, it's a job, all this, and packing and everything else, and you know, family and all this, and you know. And I thought, oh, she must have moved from south of France or somewhere. And 50 years is a long time to be away. And so I'll just remove these. They're not the back scratches I'd hoped for. So, the little lady sort of continued saying, oh, you know, how she'd moved, and you know, it was really a great upheaval, you know. I thought she'd moved foundations and mortar as well as, you know, just the trappings. Anyway, I said to her, well, actually, whereabouts have you moved from? And do you know what she said? She says, I've just moved down from Bolster Moor. And I couldn't believe it. I just had to pinch myself. But by the same token, it's like I went into the, this is again at Marsden, to buy some stamps. And I wanted a sheet of stamps rather than just the odd book or something. And the lady said, oh, you can't do that. Mr. Pinder's in his vegetable garden. So I went on road, shouted over at garden wall to Mr. Pinder that I wanted, you know, to get my car tax, do a few other things, and get these, you know, exceptionally number of stamps. Went back to the post office, and he came along and did it, you know, but he was tending his legs. So, but it's not bad for somebody who's 80 odd running a post office. And that sort of says a lot about Marsden, you know, the grit, the grind, and you know, it can make an occasion out of a, you know, turn good into bad. And especially, you know, with the Jubilee and revelling with the, you know, sort of up-and-coming events, particularly, you know, in the local community, the churches, the Scouts and Cuckoo's Nest and everything. You know, there's a real buzz. And I was talking to the shop across the road this morning, and they're intent on putting a red, white and blue models in the window, and then tea sets to make it a great big tea party. And that sort of thing, you know, the Queen would love that. I mean, I played in a brass band in a presence at Lambeth Palace. This was not long after a Silver Jubilee, and you know, it was quite amazing, just an aura, but also she's quite tiny, and she walked in front of the band. I mean, there were quite a few bum notes, but I think she was oblivious, thankfully. But I mean, the whole you know, sort of performance went up 10 notches, you know, by just walking, you know, through the Lambeth Palace gardens, you know, which was really quite something. So special times, special memories, but also I was actually at Prince William and Kate's wedding, purely by default really. And as the Queen drove past in the carriage, I happened to throw my hat up in the air. So not only have I got the Queen on picture, I've got my hat, because that's what you do when the monarch goes by. You know, you cheer and throw your hat in the air. But I managed to capture it on camera, as well as everything else. So I was quite chuffed with that picture, and there we are. Probably looks better like that, but there we are. But thank you very much, and it's been a joy and memories to behold. It's Janitor Lane Berry saying, you know, long live the Queen.